This is not the Church of Emmanuel, Christ, of Latter-day Saints, of Joseph Smith. This is the Church of Jesus Christ.
Dad. Where's the party?
Oh, well, I'm in a little trouble.
Is she pregnant?
Well, if she is, are you gonna leave the woman carrying your grandchild standing out in the cold?
I look pregnant?
Whoa, what a surprise! Joe Jesus Jr.'s gonna set us all straight.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. So after doing Alyssa's video last night, I'm expecting that I'm just talking to a camera. Nobody will watch my channel anymore. We hate you, Travis. Leave her alone. Nobody wants to do research. And this is the problem with the claims of the leaders who are telling us we're the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. History is the big problem of this corporation. They keep lying to us. They keep covering up what the real history of our religion is. They don't want us to know. And yet, those who stay in the church don't care about the lies. And they go around saying it's true. Those who are intelligent and know that a lie is a lie leave the church. And so, like Alyssa, she does videos explaining the lies that she'd been told. And there's nothing wrong with that, assuming that she acknowledges she is not the authority of Egyptian. But also for church history. People don't understand this. In 2013, they came out on their website with the Gospel Topics essays. They were trying to mediate the contention of all of the original source documents that have been exposed by Gerald and Sandra Tanner with Mormonism, Shadow or Reality, and wanting to tell Mormons what their position is for Mormons. And so they claim that Joseph Smith was indeed a polygamist, that they'd lied to us, and therefore Joseph Smith is a polygamist, so Section 132 is true, obey the law. Then with translation, for the Book of Abraham, you got John Gee writing it, and he says, Joseph never said he was a translator. Gee, have you never even read your Doctrine and Covenants? He says he's a translator on multiple occasions. And so you got Mormon apologists who still are continuing to spread the lies of the church, getting the church into deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper trouble. And they get angry when you expose them. And like Kwaku, when he was interviewed by those anti-Mormon, antichrist, apostate Korah whores, and they brought up the Gospel Topic essay about Brigham Young being a racist. Church throws Brigham Young under the bus and confesses, yeah, he's a racist. But the church is true. We no longer are racist since 1978. You claim Jesus is in charge, right? So Jesus was a racist under Brigham Young? Or are you claiming that Brigham Young wasn't listening to Jesus as the leader of the church? Which is it? And then it took until Kimball to finally listen to Jesus? Or did Jesus change his mind and is no longer racist? See, Mormons, they don't care about the confusion. Everything is true, doesn't matter if it's contradictory. And so, because nobody is doing the research, nobody is developing theories to have them tested. You know, the Sidney Rigdon theory of writing the Book of Mormon, that's not a theory. They never developed it into a theory. It's not being tested, guys. You gotta test it in order to claim a theory. You've redefined theory to be our opinion, our truth. Can't do that. You've got to run the test, like in all the cop shows, all the legal shows, all of the forensic investigation shows with all those hot, intelligent women. That scares the church. gets me all excited. Nobody is doing it. Church doesn't want you involved in science. They say science is worldly wisdom. Just have the right feeling. That's the higher source of truth. Yeah, they're lying to you. And so then they came out with the Saints books after the Joseph Smith papers. And they're violating the Joseph Smith papers with the Saints books. Because now Joseph Smith is not just a polygamist, he's now an adulterer. What? See, when I heard that as a kid in seminary, that Joseph Smith approached women and said, leave your husband, or go to the men and say, do you have faith to give up your wife to me? As a kid, I am horrified. Are you kidding me? Joseph Smith wouldn't do that. That's a violation of the gospel. What are you telling me? And so I ignored it. I didn't believe it because of who said it. It was not Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith is dead. He can't defend himself. But now we have the Joseph Smith papers. And it is vital to your eternal salvation to study them, to find out what the church has been lying to you about. That is the source. It even says it's the source on the homepage. But the church still will not tell us the truth. We have to do it. And because we have to do it and the church doesn't do it, I do my videos from the Joseph Smith papers and nobody wants to believe. This is how damaging the church is to you, even if you've left the church and think you're the authority on the book of Abraham. And so, when somebody lies, they're not just lying to lie. They're covering up a truth. This is what nobody gets. These prophets who have been lying to us this whole time about everything are covering something up that they don't want you to know. And so it is kind of important that we figure out what it is. What are they hiding? What are they covering up? Why are they hoarding money and saying it's for Jesus? There's a decision that Judge Shelby is about to make. Maybe. See, technically, he can drag it out for months, hoping that everybody will forget and then come out with a ruling saying the church is true. And so we need to know the origin. And so the Joseph Smith 1838 history is not the origin. That is Joseph Smith in 1838. So that's not the origin. You can't use that as your source of material. Because you have to do a whole linguistic analysis of section or the 1838 history of Joseph Smith, separate and distinct. Nobody knows how to do this, apparently. And so, you gotta go back to the time period and look at non-church information. And so, doing your research on Joseph Smith Sr., you find out that in May of 1818, 2 years after he arrived in Palmyra, he became a master mason of the York Rite Lodge, not the Scottish Rite Lodge. I had a John who had begun following me, and he was making lots of comments, and now he's gone. I think it has to do with Freemasonry. He had been lied to about Freemasonry prior to 9/11/1826, assuming that it's all the same and it's all evil and of the devil. You don't know Freemasonry. You trusted somebody else, you liked what you heard, and you spread it, and then somebody else comes along and says, no, that was never true. And so you don't believe him. You think he's an anti-Mormon, antichrist, apostate, Korahor. And you stop watching his channel. You believe that Alyssa is the one true prophetess. Really? He's back. Did he miss me being off for the weekend after his attack on Friday? Bastard. Alyssa, the one true prophetess, who gets hundreds of thousands of followers and believers. So it's more than John DeLynn, Denver Snuffer, and Robert, whatever the guy's name was on the bubble chart that I posted yesterday for Alyssa. Kate Kelly. Say her name. Say her name. Say her name. They won't. And so, knowing this fact, Joseph Smith Sr., Master Mason, May 1818, Canandaigua Lodge, Ontario, number 23, New York. That's factual information. It should be all over the internet as factual information about Joseph Smith Sr. No Mormon should be tampering with that fact to try to hide it and cover it up, to keep Mormons from it. Because now we have a person who is also from history of the United States of America, who was there with Joseph Smith Sr. His name was William Morgan. That sounds like an alarm. Not an alarm I've heard of. Maybe it's from the building. Somebody's breaking out the dogs. William Morgan was working on a book in Canandaigua Lodge under Joseph Smith Sr. We don't have the book. Wink, wink. Everybody claims we don't have the book. We don't know what happened to the original 116 pages. Wink, wink. That's why it's important to get the evidence and develop the theory to establish the facts through testing. There was a book published under William Morgan's name. It was not by William Morgan. That was not the 116 pages that was lost. But if you count the number of typed printed pages, because it's not typed, it's just printed, it's exactly 116 pages. So now the puzzle piece is coming together for those who are familiar with Mormonism. Because Joseph Smith, in his introduction of the Book of Mormon, put in the account of the 116 pages that Martin Harris stole. Yeah. Mormons have the exclusive factual background of what happened to William Morgan that still to this day nobody else is getting 100% correct about. If you read that book claiming to be by William Morgan, it's about the 3 levels at the beginning of both Scottish Rites and York Rites Masonry to a Master Mason, number 3, of which Joseph Smith Sr. is. And it goes over the duties and responsibilities of a Master Mason. Joseph Smith Sr., what his duties and responsibilities was. And now you can then understand that he is responsible for arranging William Morgan to flee the country to Canada. Now you understand that it was Joseph Smith Sr. who's responsible for finishing the book. To rescue William Morgan, to get him out of the country, and to finish his book, which means Joseph Smith Sr. knows the information that William Morgan had. This is all the factual information. And yet Mormons are going to hear this and go, no, church is true. It's the real history of the American Indians who need to conform and comply to the archaeology, or the archaeology needs to conform and comply to. Jesus is real. No. Because you might also have heard that Joseph Smith had Tree of Life dreams. Lucy Mack wrote about it in her book. And then we had to find out from the original book, because Brigham Young's crew didn't want to have it published correctly. So the real original is now available for us. And so, yes, she remarks about how the Book of Mormon's Tree of Life visions are a direct match with her husband's Tree of Life visions. Notice visions, dreams. What is that 1838 history called again? Oh, the first and the second what? That's why you cannot trust it for history. And so, as he's responsible for making sure the book gets published, and Joseph Smith Jr. lost 116 pages to Martin Harris, who stole them, it's Senior's responsibility to rewrite the 116 pages. And so all the way up to Mosiah was rewritten by Joseph Smith Sr. That's why it's not exactly 116 pages. 116 was your code for William Morgan and what he was trying to warn America about. And so now the Book of Mormon cannot be seen as literal history. Oh wait, both Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon say it's not literal history. Huh. How did we all miss that? It's prophecy and revelation. But revelation, not inspiration, but revelation day and hour time of the predictions of the future. William Morgan's uncovering of a plot in America. Real simple stuff. And so then we need to find out who the enemy is. Who is the enemy that's trying to cover up and hide, wink, wink, this threat to America? And I've been going over it with you all this time. Joseph Smith reveals the identity. Thomas B. Marsh reveals the identity. Brigham Young, Heber C. Kimball, John Taylor revealed their identity. Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. exposed the identity. Heber J. Grant got exposed. Still waiting, Stanford, for the link. It would have been nice to use it for this video. Because he's saying that the information that he had obtained, that he wanted to link me to, indicated that Brigham Young incorporated the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 1851 under the name of the state of Deseret, when it was the territory of Utah, of which he had been governor. And so for that kind of information, of an actual document, that is a bombshell, Stanford. But I can't do anything with it until I get it. So yes, Brigham Young was in denial of the territory of Utah and was still trying to form a coup to restore a state of Deseret, even though it was the kingdom of Deseret in the beginning. So that would be fascinating. But I already knew about the Deseret coins that the church paid Mark Hoffman with for the salamander letter. Hilarious. So yeah, I have the Deseret alphabet somewhere in my files and have the coins and all that stuff, but nonetheless. Factual information that contradicts what the church has been telling us, that they're the legitimate successors of Joseph Smith. No, they're not. No, they're not. But to focus on back in that time period, you get contradictory information, or information that should be a connection, but no connection is made. And this comes from the Wikipedia page under Heber C. Kimball, under Masonry. And I'll read it as it is written. In 1823, Kimball received the 3 craft degrees of Freemasonry. Now, what is that? Up to Master Mason. He's saying he obtained all three in 1823. That was not the practice prior to 9/11, 1826, but that's how Joseph had it happen in 1842. Junior became a Master Mason of the Nauvoo Lodge. 2 days before his infamous giving women the priesthood and priesthood office on the 17th of March, of which the church lies and denies about. Right, Oaks? They won't tell you the truth. But nonetheless, Kimball is making the claim, yeah, I violated the rules and became a Master Mason in 1 year. No. And wasn't he born in 1800? 1801. And so he's 22 years old, and he becomes a Master Mason. Huh. And then in the lodge at Victor Flats. They've now finally removed the red line, the red highlighting, that used to be the link highlighting. They've removed that completely now. Victor Flats was to the west of Canandaigua, New York. And so when you're doing your research about locations of Freemasonic lodges, you then recognize a pattern that they had divided Western New York into vertical segments across Western New York. So that Canandaigua and Palmyra were in the same vertical segment for York rites. And then to the left and to the right of it was Scottish rites. And then to the left and right of that are York rites. They switched it up. That's the way they had it set up in Western New York prior to 9/11, 1826. So that when you get to Batavia, further west, that was York rites. And so the Victor Flats region was Scottish rites. Canandaigua, York rites. Victor Flats, Scottish rites. Batavia, York rites. And it was it a full day or was it 2 days ride from Batavia? I think it was 2 days ride to get from Batavia where the press was that fronted William Morgan the money to work on the book, where his family was, where he had a house, and he wasn't writing it in his house with his family. He went to Canandaigua Lodge and was staying there to work on the book, to protect his family, to protect the press from people finding out. And so as we go over Kimball, now you realize who the enemy is, and they found out. And that's why he had to leave his family. He can't go back to his family after they know who he is. They murder people. This book is of vital national security importance. And so he says that Victor Flats is in Ontario County, New York. No. But regardless, in 1824, he sent a petition to the chapter at Canandaigua, New York. he never mentions Joseph Smith Sr. This would have been a perfect opportunity to show how true the church is, that Joseph Smith Sr. knew Heber C. Kimball. That Heber C. Kimball sees the Book of Mormon, reads it, and knows that it's true about Jesus, and joins the church, and then finds out that Joseph Smith is the leader of the church and that his father was the Master Mason who approved of him becoming a Royal Ark Mason in 1824, the very next year. Do you know the rank levels of the York Rites? Because it's not 33 degrees, that's Scottish Rites. Royal Ark is number 7. So he gets to number 3 in 1823, and then he applies to be number 7, skipping 4, 5, and 6 to go right to number 7. If you knew your Freemasonry pre 9/11, 1826, you know that's an especially naughty no-no. You can't do that. So what is he talking about? Why is he lying to us? What is he covering up and hiding? Well, that was the rank of William Morgan, who signed an affidavit as he got approved that he had obtained all previous 6 ranks. So this is what Heber C. Kimball is covering up, that he knows about Joseph Smith Sr. He knows about William Morgan. He knows about the book they were writing. And so his petition was accepted. And so now listen to his excuse that he makes here. Although he, as he reported, anti-Masons had burned down the chapter building in Canandaigua. And so he's claiming, I became a Royal Ark Mason. I was approved in Canandaigua, but it was burned down, so there's no record of it. That's what he thought. Oops. That is the source of the anti-Mason movement. Joseph Smith Sr. is the Master Mason who's responsible for protecting the life of a fellow brother and got him out of the country, is responsible for finishing the book, and is responsible for protecting the lodge member rolls. That's how we know Joseph Smith Sr. was the Master Mason. That's how we know Hiram Smith was a member in the Palmyra Lodge. Not with his daddy. And again, you need to know the rules of Freemasonry prior to 9/11, 1826. And so Junior, talking about a religious freedom movement, attending their meetings as often as occasion would permit, and an angel telling about the Book of Mormon and about they that come shall burn you. Yeah. Joseph Smith is using Christianity as the front for talking about what happened on 9/11, 1826. Junior would go with his dad to his lodge to sit in on what was going on. Thus, Junior knew about the book. And so when Junior talks about copying the characters from the plates before Martin Harris gets there, no. He's copying the original 116 pages, wink wink, so that the originals are not with Joseph when Martin Harris gets there. So Joseph has his copy of the 116 pages and then dictates to Martin Harris. That's why he had a sheet shielding Martin Harris from seeing what was going on. And then Martin Harris would make a second copy. And so Martin Harris stole the second copy. So yes, they could have rewritten it exactly as the 116 pages said it was. But because of Martin Harris, Sr. now had to figure out a different way. And we hear him giving to Junior sections 3 and 10. That is Sr. talking. That's the Lord. And if you think he's Jesus, oh my God, what the hell is wrong with you? The tree of life is Jewish Kabbalah that Joseph Smith Sr. learned in Vermont. Heber C. Kimball is the enemy. Brigham Young is the enemy. They confess they're the enemy. They lied about Joseph Smith. They framed him and blamed him to do what they did. They are the Danites. They are the true Mormons. They are the enemy. This is what this church is covering up. And so when Nelson keeps repeating, in a coming day, in the coming days, Jesus, where is he? All I see is the church tampering in government to destroy the Constitution of the United States of America and coup the government to destroy it so that they can get their kingdom back. And you've got Oaks getting leaked by Sister Jessica, confessing that he overthrew all presidential elections of 2016, 2020, and 2024. Yeah, the first time AI was used in voting machines. And so what is Trump doing now? Yay, Stargate! Yeah. We are all doomed because this plot of Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball's is in full swing operation. And that's why Governor Cox is panicked and freaked out that the ICE director of Utah leaked in a memo that Utah is a sanctuary state. Well, again, the church had planned all of this in advance. That Cox doesn't even know. The church is using Cox to be the sacrificial lamb. And so this is what we're facing. That the church specifically was in bed with Islamic terrorists to not only fund terrorism against the United States, but to also bring Islamic terrorists to Utah as refugees, which are now illegal. The church has been giving sanctuary to illegal refugees that Trump now says has to go. And Cox says, no, we're not a sanctuary state. No, yes, the church made you a sanctuary state. Don't lie to your government, you dumbass. It's gonna get Cox in worse trouble with Trump. They've already reached Colorado. We're next. Because in case you didn't follow the news, they would get into Texas and other southern states, and Texas would send them not just to New York, but to Chicago. Just bus them to Chicago. And Chicago didn't want to deal with them, so they sent them to Colorado. Colorado didn't want to deal with them, so they sent them to Utah. We're next. It's coming. Pay attention. See, when you know the truth of history, when you know who the enemy is, you now can see the news about what the enemy is talking about in their church news, the pulpits of conference, in their devotionals, and you know exactly what they're up to. And you can do videos exposing their plot, for which they'll try to murder you for, to cover it up and hide it. That they'll get YouTube to cyber terrorize you, to keep you from getting the views that Alyssa gets, because Alyssa is wrong, and so they don't care what she says. Real simple. So, there you have it. So expect Judge Shelby to cave to the church's threats. Expect Trump to come into Utah and thus fulfill Joseph Smith's warning about the enemy coming as a thief in the night to Utah and destroying everything in this valley. Section 101, verse 51, and Joseph Smith Papers, 19 July 1840. Joseph reveals that it's Brigham who's the enemy.